Hi everyone, welcome to the Optimised Practice podcast. I'm your host today, Blake Sargent. I'm flying solo to share with you a checklist for your team. The way we look at the journey that many practice owners go on is they start by themselves, and ultimately that's a job and that's great, but ultimately they go, hang on, how do I now transform this from a job into a business? What that then requires is putting a team in place. So the question, then we need a new set of skills. We need to start being able to mentor people. We need to learn how to hire people. We need to learn how to pay them. We need to learn how to keep them. So I'm just going to run through a very short checklist of some of the things to put in place. This is a checklist we created when we looked at everything we did at Optimize Health. What happened with new members, what happened with people that have been there a long time, what did we actually do with the team? And we just collated it all together into a system. And that's just what we give practice owners now so that they can implement it in their practice. Let's run through this. And if there's anything that you feel you're missing, great. It just shows you an opportunity. None of these steps are overly complex. None of them require a degree in rocket science to implement. But if you notice there's something you're not doing, great, we can quickly implement that. First step, systemised onboarding process for a new team member. It's actually not as complicated as people think, but the battle is won before day one. When we get a new person on board, we want to demonstrate in advance that we're organised. We want to check their references. We want to ask for their tax details so that we can get them set up on payroll. We want to have their CV updated. We want to get them a mug so that day one when they show up, we've got a mug with their name on it. You don't have to do that, but it's little things like that. We even go down to the detail on day one. We make sure we're there half an hour early, because normally new recruits will come a little early, and we notice them arrive and we make sure we meet and greet them at the door. We have a really structured day one as well, where we show them to meet the team, and we show them around the whole practice. And again, this is just something we've got a whole checklist of even like what to do before their arrival and what to do day one. Start by writing it down, and you can add to it over time. This is not about perfection, but we need some sort of systemized onboarding process. Next, we need a structured and supportive probation process. So now they've started, what do we do next? Right, we've got to map out their next 6 months. So we want to print out a planner, physical planner, and show them, hey, this is what your next 6 months is going to look like. The positioning to this is, hey, it is our responsibility alongside you, as in you and I together, to make sure you pass this probation process with flying colors. So I'm here to support you, but this is a two-way thing, and you've got to reach out to me and tell me if there's anything you don't understand, and make sure that you ask the questions you need to make sure you pass this probation period of 6 months with absolute flying colors, because I'll give everything I can to help you with that. Here is the 6 months probation, what we're going to do. Now, depending on whether they're a new grad or whether they're more experienced, certainly new grad, but often anyone doesn't actually touch a patient at Optimize Health for the first month. Not because we don't think they can, but we go, hang on, we're in this for the long run. So let's really show them love, care, and attention. Let's not get them treating patients instantly. Let's get them meeting the team, getting onto the kit, sitting on reception for a day, all of that sort of stuff. A lot of people do start treating straight away. All I'm saying is you actually don't have to get them treating straight away. Certainly if they're a new grad, you could give them a couple of weeks or a month where they're being mentored and they don't treat a patient. And then we gradually want to build them into working with patients. So the way I normally recommend it is over the 6 months, we do a weekly check-in for the first 2 months. Then we move to fortnightly. Then we move to once a month. And that one-to-one check-in is something that we do indefinitely. So every team member, and this is the next thing on the checklist, every team member has a one-to-one meeting every single month just about them. And this is not about the stick. This is about a carrot. This is, hey, let's check in every month. Let's see what you're doing brilliantly. And let's see where you might want some support and what you want to put your focus on so that you can become the best practitioner you can possibly be. So that brings me to that next point, which is after that probation period, we still want a clear ongoing mentoring plan for each team member. And one of the ways that we implement that is through the one-to-one monthly support for each team member. We'll sit down and go, hey, let's look out over the next year, 2, 3. Where do you want to get to in your career? I really want to get more into MSK, or I love using the lasers. Okay, great. Let's create a plan of how that might happen. By the way, as an aside, before we get to that, we really want to make sure they nail the basics. as well. So just within the basics of running an exceptionally good clinical session, we use something called the 9-step process, where there are 9 steps that we tick, that when we meet a new patient, we increase our energy by 20%, we ask them 3 questions, we run a clinical exam, so on and so forth, and we make sure we outline exactly what's going to happen, and then we ask them back, is there anything I didn't explain clearly enough? And then we ultimately get them booked in. So we want to make sure that every patient is super clear and walks away with certainty and clarity about what their options are and what would be the best course of treatment for them, because we really want a complete treatment. Rebooking patients has nothing to do with us making money. It's got to do with completing treatment for people. So some of those basic things that we look at will be around rebook rate, new patient rebook rate, cancellation rate, DNA rate. Like if you've got a practitioner and only 30% of new patients come back, something's going wrong. Right? Something's going wrong. You've got a practitioner and they have 20% no-shows. Something's going wrong. All right, so we've got to make sure we get all of those basics right. So really, when I talk about probation and that first year, it's really about nailing those basics, including getting GP letters sent out as well, so they can start building a referral network over time. Then as we move on, it's a case of, okay, what's the development plan for you over the next term? Right, I really want to get into the surgery. Okay, great. Let's look at how we can make that happen over the coming years. I really want to get into MSK. We've got to have those conversations, and then we've got to have a one-to-one every single month with every single team member. So next on our checklist is we have professional HR support from an external body. So we use an external HR company. One of them at the Hive Peninsula offer all our members a discount, and they're part of our buyers group, so we can pass on that discount to people. But HR and team management is part art but part law, right? The government have written laws as to how we interact and what the rights are of team members. And I think the number is an employee has 173 different rights when it comes to what they're allowed. A business owner has none. There are no written rights for a business owner, but there are 170 something for an employee. So we've got to be aware of those, and we just don't touch it. We just invest in monthly external HR support. So if there's ever an issue and we want to ask for advice, we can go directly to a professional body that can help tell us what the law actually says about this, because we don't get to make up our rules. We don't get to just decide, we don't think that's fair and we'll just do it this way. No, the law has been written around that. So best practice, you want to be able to also offer this so that your team member, if they need to reach out, they've got somebody professional to reach out to. So we make sure we've got professional HR support from an external body. We talked about one-to-one meetings, but we also need regular team meetings. So what's the health of the practice doing? The truth around the team meetings, as well as the quarterly extended team meetings that we do, which we call like a half-day alignment day, or the annual full-day team meeting, the real purpose of those is actually just to get the team connected, right? There actually doesn't need to be any crazy training and like this hard agenda with this massive outcome. Silly as it sounds, if you took your team to Nando's and they had a blast, and then you shared some of the metrics for the practice to show how everything's doing, you did some fun awards for people, and you played a couple of games where people got to know each other, it's like 2 truths and a lie. Oh my God, I didn't know you played the flute. Yeah, I grew up playing the flute. I used to play the saxophone. Jesus, I haven't picked that up in many years. How odd's that? I didn't know you grew up there. Those are the conversations we actually want to happen. We don't need to load those team meetings with really heavy PowerPoint kind of businessy stuff. We want people to connect. Some things our members have done is like arm knitting, right? Where you get these big chunky things and use your arms as needles and you knit big blankets. That's one of the things. Things like go-karting, so much stuff that can be done with the team, but it's super, super important. So we map out those team meetings for the entire year. When your business is really small, you can do a weekly or fortnightly team meeting. But when you get bigger, the cost of shutting the entire practice, let's say you've got 10 team members, or like at Optimized Health, we have 30 team members. When we shut the entire practice to get everybody together, that's an enormous investment. That's why that happens once a month. And then the longer stuff happens once a quarter, and then a full day every year. But what it also means is that we can start getting the relevant people along to the relevant meetings. So in the early days, we just have a team meeting with everyone together. As our team gets bigger, we go, right, let's do this. let's have a team meeting once a month, but then let's have a leadership team meeting once a month as well, which is just, we're going to pick the 2 or 3 people in the practice who are the leaders. Then once a month, let's do an admin team meeting and let's just get the admin together, because let's talk about topics relevant specific to that. And once a month, or sometimes a lot of our guys do this weekly actually, is a practitioner team meeting where we just get the practitioners together. Often people do that the half hour before a lunch. And again, it's just every single week or every fortnight, every month, however you want to do. But it's an opportunity to share clinical best practice and go, hey, I had this person in the other day. I did this incredible bit of strapping on them. I'm going to show you what this is about, right? And we rotate the responsibility of who takes that. And sometimes it's just a case of also going, hey, this with a patient, I'd love some feedback on it. How would you guys have done this? Or I had a really interesting case the other day. I'm going to share with you what it was, how it presented, how I dealt with it. And then we could discuss how we might do it differently. We've got to map all those kinds of meetings out for 12 months ahead. Importantly, right, map those 12 months ahead, put them on a physical planner, put them up in the practice. And when you ask people consistently, especially at the end of the year and the start of the year, hey, can you please put your holiday requests in as soon as possible? Because obviously we can't have everybody off one time, and it would be as much a first come, first serve basis, right? And we'll do everything we can to accommodate you, but the sooner you tell us, the better. You've got to have your team meetings in first. And that includes showing when you're going to do the one-to-ones, so that if they go, hey, I've got a wedding on the Amalfi Coast in July and I'm going to be away for 2 weeks, it just so happens that that's the same week when the one-to-ones happen, we go, no problem, brilliant. Thanks for giving us 6 months notice. We can totally work around this. Right, let's move that one-to-one now. The one-to-ones don't get cancelled, they get moved. They never get cancelled, they get moved. We don't skip them, they get moved. Also, when you've got team players who actually really enjoy being part of the team, when they see that the annual team day is on the 8th of December, guess what? They go, how? I'm not going to take my holiday then, right? When they see the quarterly team days or a half team day is on, March the 18th, they go, oh, I like those. I'll see if I can, the good ones will go, I'll see if I can make sure I'm not away from those. And so they start trying to plan to be around for the stuff that they actually end up really enjoying and cool team stuff. So we got regular team meetings with agendas. That's on the list. Next, plan social and team building get-togethers. I've sort of touched on that already. But again, the social side of things, you don't need to overthink that, but getting people hanging out, whether it's having a drink together, whether it's having a lunch together, that's where the magic happens. That's where the relationships are created. What we also have on our tick list is a clear set of practice standards and a set of values. This needs to be positioned in the recruitment phase of getting somebody on board. It's part of the onboarding phase, which is when you've selected who you're going to hire. But even prior to that, during recruit process, we share a set of standards and we go, hey, in this practice, here are the standards we live by. And I'm sharing them with you now, so they're not a surprise, but these are the standards that we as a business have chosen to live by. This is the set of values that as a business, like the guiding principles, 4 or 5 guiding principles, values about which says who we are. The greatest sports teams in the planet have this. The All Blacks have this. The New Zealand rugby team, they have this as well. And so we have that set of standards, and now we can measure and manage against it as well. But they're not there to be the stick, they're there to be the carrot. To the right person when we recruit, when we say, hey, here's a set of standards, which include, we always show up on time, we look after each other, we do this, we maintain a great rubric rate because we want to make sure we fix patients, all of that sort of stuff. We have quite a long list of them. To the right person, they'll go, hell yeah, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of a team that all know what they're doing and want to operate at a really decent level. Yeah, I'm totally up for that. So to the right person, those are great. So clear set of practice standards and values. We share them in recruitment, we reiterate them onboarding, and we hold them to account during probation. We really want to instill those. You want those in your team room as well, up a set of values. Now, the next thing on the checklist, we need a clear, short and long-term vision for our practice. So we always look at a 12-month vision. Santa asked us what we wanted in the next 12 months. This is what we would tell him. Hey, Santa, could you deliver us this for Christmas in 12 months' time? That's what the practice would look like. That shouldn't be left up to guesswork. Like, hey, we're just going to do some cool stuff and hope that we end up where we want to end up. No, we design it first. We map out where we want to get to in 12 months. And then we map out 3 to 5 years in the future. We create just a simple vision of, if everything went exactly to plan, and if we did, this is how many rooms we'd have. This is how many team we'd have, which includes the support team and the practitioner team. This is how many patients we'd need. This is what our average spend would be. This is what our turnover would therefore be. This is how many patients we would need, so on and so forth, right? So we just take a really clear snapshot of, if we had a magic wand, 12 months time, that's what we're aiming for. 3 to 5 years time, magic wand, that's where we're aiming for. Every business needs that anyway, but we need to share this with our team members. Your business is your team. They can help you build this. Plus, people want to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. So when they turn up to a practice and it's clearly articulated, this is where we're heading, guys. And then in the future, 3 to 5 years, this is where we're heading. They're like, sign me up. Sounds good. And that's the job of a leader of a practice. It says just about before you're about to get on the bus, you go, hey guys, this is where we're going. Who's with me? And the right people will go, yep, I'm on for the journey. I like the rules you've set for on this bus. And I like the destination. I like where we're aiming for 12 months, 3 to 5 years. That's the next thing on the tick list is short and long-term visions. I'd mentioned yearly and quarterly team alignments. Again, map those out. As a leader, you need bulletproof financials. And with that, you don't have to share all of that. We end up sharing all of it. And I'll tell you why. It's that if you don't share it, people will guess. And when people guess, they get it wrong. So there was a great moment. This is quite a long time ago, but Troy was doing the team day with the team. And at the time, business was like half the size it is now. I think it was doing like 1.8 million a year turnover. And it spent an entire day talking about financials. And at the end of the day, to give them the team the context of, hey, look, it's not about what we make, it's about what we keep. Yeah, for every £100 that comes into this practice, if we do a really, really, really good job, we're left with £20 after paying everything. And then I still have to pay tax on that. And I want to keep £10, 10% of that as cash to reinvest back into the practice, right? Spent a whole day teaching this. And at the end, he went, right, what's your biggest takeaway from the day? And the first person that he pointed to go on, share what's your biggest takeaway for the day, turned around and went, wow, I can't believe Troy makes 1.8 million a year. It's like, no, you missed the whole day. But they'd heard that. And then that was the only thing they could hear. This business does 1.8 million a year. Now we share more around the margins. We often share it really as percentages, like I've just shared now. For every £100 that comes into his practice, we don't want more than 40% going to practitioner salaries, because then we've got 7% that goes to rent, 13% that goes to the support salaries, which leaves us with 20% for all other costs, of which there's about 30, 40 different line items on there. And then we want to be left with a 20% net profit after everybody's been paid. And half of that we want to hold on to as cash. So we end up sharing that, and then we do actually end up sharing more and more of that. What that also allows us to do, which is the next thing on my list, is we have a practitioner scoreboard, which shows each team member how they specifically are doing. How many patients are they seeing? What's their average spend? What are they turning over? What's their DNA rate, cancellation rate, rebook rate, and everything like that. It's just good common best practices that people want to know how they're doing, right? If we don't have like some basic data each month, we can't see. And then it's up to them to say, cool, so what are you doing really well? Where do you want to put the focus on for the next month? Again, that's so a lot of the one-to-ones, well, every one-to-one comes down to also just checking in on that scoreboard to see truthfully, what was the performance like last month? Awesome. What are we going to celebrate? Great job on that. Right. Where do you want to put your focus for the next month? Again, they are the carrot, not the stick. So best practice, KPIs for the business and for each practitioner. We call them scoreboards. Let me check my list for you. I touched upon it, but we want to put aside 10% of all turnover into cash. We want cash in the bank. Ideally, we want sitting there at least 6 months run rate. If you didn't see another patient for the next 6 months, how much would it cost to run your business? What is that figure? Because you sleep very well at night knowing that if no patient somehow came in tomorrow, maybe COVID, for example, how long could I afford to run my business for and pay my team and pay my rent before money run out? 3 months is fine. 6 months is even better. And then also we want to make sure we have cash in the business so that we can reinvest back into this, which brings to the next bit about having that plan around, okay, what kit for the future? And that might then, and that's part of our vision of where we want to go to, is part of the conversation with the team of, if you've got a load of them interested in MSK or wanting to do laser, okay, well, let's put that in the plan for the future. So we've got to have the money to do that. So we want to invest into kit to offer a range of treatments. We want a commitment to the CPD for each team member. I've mentioned that each team member, we want to have a little plan of what their future looks like and what that includes financially for their CPD support. And there we go. My last two things: commitment to a clean culture and working environment, which means upholding those standards. And when somebody falls short, you've got to pull them up on it. It doesn't have to be a massive deal, but you can alienate your team by demonstrating to them how you'll tolerate poor attitude from other people. So once we've set these values and standards, we've got to stick to them. We've got to uphold them. Right? And that's what creates a high-performing team. And the very last thing on my list, and I'll finish on this one, is a great practice. And when it comes to building a great team, keeping a great team, is being highly selective about who they bring into the team. Big checklist there. You can't build a high-performing team with low-performing people. We always say we look for people who fit the family photo. We hire on attitude, not skills. Attitude you can't really teach. Skills you can, right? So we're just looking for, so the skill comes to finding the right people. Now you're going to make mistakes, but that's what probation's for. That's the safety net, that if they don't fit, we've got to be okay with saying, hey, look, it's just not a good fit. Maybe not be that you're necessarily the wrong person at all, but we were clear on these are the standards, these are the values, and these are the expectations. Now, if that doesn't fit you, fine, there'll be another practice that would maybe fit that a lot better for you, but you're just not a really good fit here. We stole this from the New Zealand rugby team, arguably the most successful team of all time. They stole this from the Sydney Swans, and there is a rule which says we have a no dickhead policy. Genuine policy. It means that doesn't matter. You could be the best rugby player, the most creative rugby player, the best rugby player in the whole of New Zealand. But if you're a dickhead, you're not getting into the team, because there is no one person who is more important than the team as a whole. And if you can just keep that as a mental note to go, yeah, if I just stick to that, is going to give me some really good guidance around how to build a great team. The other way I learned it was, for those of you who've seen Judge Judy, she says one bad blueberry in a punnet of blueberries will turn the entire punnet moldy. Whereas there is no amount of blueberries on the planet, good blueberries, that can turn a moldy one good again, right? So think of that when you're curating your team. Be very selective about who you bring in, and be upfront and clear about the standards. Be upfront and clear about the vision for where you're going to take things in the future. Be upfront about the probation. Be upfront about how the one-to-ones are going to work, and maintain those standards as we go. And if you do all that, you should build a super high performing team. So there's your little checklist, my friends. So there we go. That's it for the episode today. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on social media. And if you want help building a practice, feel free to reach out to us at the Hive, and we'll show you how to build a profitable, stable, and highly respected practice. And we'll just give you everything that we've learned and everything that runs our practice, and you can use it in yours. All right, my friends, I will see you in the next episode.